first question that I'm going to ask you is, what are the various types of jobs available in your field of work?
So my field of work is in distribution and material handling for retail stores mainly. So when you go to your Walmart or your Target or your Costco, all of that product got to the store from a distribution center where all the product is kept in like a 1,000,000 square foot warehouse. And somehow that product has to get from that warehouse to the store on a timely manner, right?
Yeah.
And so the jobs in the distribution centers range from your operators on the floor picking the product to put it on a truck to get it to the store, your supervision, your managers, your general managers, and then engineering, which is typically called industrial engineering, is the engineering of the flow of goods in the right way from that DC distribution center to the store. So those are the main jobs. You have all of the things around that too. You have your HR, your finance, your accounting, because it all has its own profit and loss and its own cost. My side of the industry is around supplying automation to those distribution centers to get product from the DC to the store. So anything within that DC can be considered automation. The most typical you would see is just pallet racking to store up and not just out because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
And then forklifts to get product in and out of that pallet racking. And then obviously all the stuff to get onto trucks and off. What I do is really conveyor, which moves the boxes out of the rack onto a conveyor in the right mode to get to the right truck to go to the right store. Conveyor and sortation for that purpose.
Interesting. Okay, so my second question is, how has the economy had an effect on your field of work?
So a lot of the industry and the economy is going to more of an e-commerce versus a go to brick and mortar store fulfillment model, right? So today or yesterday you would go to the store and buy all your, and Christmas and the holiday season is the perfect example. You would all go there and buy that. Today you do it all online. Well, the difference is when you're fulfilling product to a store, let's pick Michael's. If you go to a Michael's store and you see products on a shelf, you would have a box that could be, let's say, this big, and that box would be full of, let's say, 400 items, right? Because and those got picked individually out of a distribution center, put on a conveyor, put on a truck, and sent to a Michael's store to be put on the shelf so you could come in and buy it. In the Amazon world, where you would buy all that stuff the same way, think about how Amazon's going to ship that. Instead of shipping one large box of 400 items, they're going to ship 400 boxes of one item each.
Yeah.
So that's a vastly different. So when you talk about the models with distribution, you have all of these retailers who have built these 600,000 square foot distribution centers with all of this automation around this box this big with 400 items in it, and now they have to change their model and say, now I have to ship some of those, but I'm also going to ship boxes this big with 1 to 2 items. And within the warehouse, that's a lot more corrugate, it's a lot more conveyance required, it's a lot more, how do I pick and make sure I get the right product in there, because if you receive it at home and it's the wrong thing, you're not going to buy from me again, so quality is much more important. My freight just went way up, right, because now I'm shipping all these boxes. And that's opened up an entire side of the field and made it stronger, which is all around the logistics side, which is, before it was easy. You send full truckloads of product from a Michael's distribution center to a Michael's store, unload it, put it on the shelf. Now, how do I get it from an Amazon DC to the 10,000 customers via parcel or postal or FedEx or UPS, post office, whatever? Or do you kind of create your own in some ways to minimize costs? So the model has changed from a truckload type industry to more of a parcel industry, and from a large box industry to more of a small box industry.
Of course. All right, so I have to ask you, what are sort of the growth areas of this field? Like how has your field been growing in recent years?
So it's been growing a lot in the automation on the picking side. For me, personally, the field is automation of these distribution centers to get literally the cases on the belt to go to a truck or to get product into a box to go on a truck, right? Those two ways. It's changed a lot because, the workforce has changed, and because peak season is such a high peak versus average, and what do I mean by that? A typical distribution center might have, let's say, 100 employees average per shift throughout the year to pick, pack, and ship all the boxes. During peak season, like this coming week after Thanksgiving, that could grow 10 times. So they might need 800 people instead of 100. So how do you go hire 700 additional people to pick, pack, and ship all this product for just 3 weeks or 4 weeks out of the year?
Yeah.
So a big thing that's changed our industry, because now instead of trying to do that, instead we bring out automation, more robotic type solutions to do automatic case picking, to do automatic each picking into the cases, automatic conveyance, automatic loading in the trailers, automatic unloading. So a lot more the industry has changed because we're automating much more than what used to be automated.
Interesting. So my final question is sort of what areas of the country offer the best opportunities for your job?
So for what I do in material handling automation, you have to kind of follow where distribution comes from, and that's always going to be close to populous areas. So the Texas has become a great place because it's the center of the country, and so if you have a big distribution center here in the center, you can cheaply, from one location, reach California and New York from the same place in the same amount of days because it's geographically centered to the country. So a lot of companies are moving their distribution here for that reason alone.
Yeah.
The other place to be is in populous areas. So even though you might have a place in Texas, because the East Coast is, you'd have to look it up, but probably 60% of the country's population is on the East Coast alone, right? It's so populous that there's a lot of distribution in those areas. And so that's where this industry really thrives a lot, is East Coast up and down, and then in Texas. California has its own subset, but it's really serviced a lot from the central area from Texas mainly.
Well, that's good for me.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.